Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop and a regular meeting on Tuesday, June 21st, 2016, at 5:45 p.m. and at 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. We will begin with our workshop. Letter A, current contractor and Big Belly Solar Incorporated for smart waste management for trash and recycling compactors to report on current and potential use to the Mayor and City Commission of the effectiveness of the pilot program.
We present you this workshop for an update on our Big Belly pilot program. If you remember back to July 1st, 2014, former Assistant City Manager Jeff Johnston brought to the Commission the purchase of 2 Big Bellies utilizing the Plastic Bag Fund to find out if it would, people would use it, if people would vandalize it, and would it keep the bees and other pests out before investing in a fleet of Big Bellies. So today I have before you Kathy Wright, Aaron McPherson, and Leila Dillon, who are going to present to you their findings, assessment, and future opportunities for our Big Belly and our Parks and Recreation Department system. And potentially at a later date, we'll bring back to you a proposal for a use for the Plastic Bag Fund. And without further ado.
Hi there, I'm Leila Dillon. I run the marketing and the North American distribution channel for Big Belly, and I'm grateful for your time today. For just a little bit of background, if I could, just for people, I don't know if everybody understands what Big Belly does. We have a solar-powered, compacting, connected waste container. Oops, I'm walking away from the microphone, sorry. We have a software solution that enables you to know the fullness level of your waste bins at all time. So at any time throughout your city, you can understand, or throughout your park system, you can know exactly which waste bins need to be emptied, and more importantly, which ones do not. Okay, so to dive in, because I know we're short on time, or tight on time, I should say. Okay, great. The agenda that we have today is 1, to look at our smart waste and recycling system, some of our deployments in parks, so that you have an understanding of where we are. 2, to look at the pilot success that we specifically did here in Brownsville and what the criteria were and how in which we handled that criteria. 3, to look at our Connect system, what it includes and how we work with parks and cities. 4, to look at our assessments and findings. We've spent quite a bit of time here in Brownsville looking at 37 different parks and trails and spending time actually working within those parks and understanding what the current waste footprint looks like and what the collection routine is. And so we've come up with an assessment and findings that we'd like to review. And then finally, to review our recommended deployment. Just to give you a little bit of understanding of the benefits of the Big Belly system in Parks and Rec, you can see them up here. 1, most importantly, is to beautify and clean your parks. We are a totally enclosed system, so when you put waste or recycling into the Big Belly, it stays in the Big Belly, and it does not come out of the Big Belly. In other words, birds or ducks cannot take things out of the Big Belly system. Another very important part there is that it will keep waste contained and keep it out of the water. One of the things that I've seen here that's unique to the Brownsville area is that you do have a lot of water in your park system, and being able to put waste in the containers and know that it's not going to end up in the water is a very big thing here. Of course, we're going to be able to reduce your collections. Our average customers reduce their collections by 80%. We have learned that you are collecting 7 days a week right now throughout your park system, and that we believe that we will be able to reduce that by 80%. We're going to enable recycling in a park system. We tend to offer what we call double stations, where at every juncture you're giving someone an opportunity to recycle if they'd like to, and that tends to skyrocket your diversion rates and your recycling ratios. We're going to increase your capacity. Because we have a compactor within our Big Belly stations hold 5 times the amount of a traditional waste bin that you have out there. We're going to deter pests and litter. Again, one of the nice things about having an enclosed system is that pests cannot get into your waste stream. So whether it be rats or ducks or birds or you name it, they stay out of it. A big thing that we talk about is taking action with insight, being able to use the data that you can see in either your laptop or your smartphone or your tablet or your desktop, and use that to make better decision making when it comes to collecting. And of course, we're going to be able to reduce your greenhouse gas footprint. A big piece here is one, keeping those collections down, and then two, keeping those trucks off the street. And when you're able to keep the trucks off the street, you're able to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions. Just so you get a little bit of feel, we've been doing this for a long time. To give you a little understanding on Big Belly, we've been in business now for over 15 years. We're deployed in all 50 states and now in 50 different countries worldwide. I asked my team at home to pull together just a handful here of some of the parks where we are, but this gives you an idea that we've done quite a few deployments and have done a lot of specialty deployments in parks. Okay, let's dive in. The pilot program that has been in place here. There were a couple of things here when we looked at putting a pilot here. The idea was to test the system and to see whether it would work for the city of Brownsville. There were some key things that we said we absolutely have to achieve, and then there was a list of key things that the city of Brownsville asked us to achieve. So most important for us is always, did we contain the waste? Did we add capacity because of the compactors? And were we able to provide fullness reporting so that we were able to tell the city when they needed to go and when they didn't need to go? And those are all checked. We were able to do that. But probably more important than what we wanted to get out of this was what Brownsville was looking at, and we were also asked to focus on these other three things. Will the constituents of Brownsville use the stations? Do they know how to use them, and will we actually see them using the stations? Two, will they reduce the presence of bees? We understood in the areas where these stations went that bees were a big problem, and they wanted to reduce the bees, and would an enclosed system therefore not allow bees to get in? And then last, and this is a hard thing to talk about, but we need to, will the stations not be vandalized? A concern is graffiti or what might happen to them. Can these stations go out there and not be vandalized and do their job? And all of those criteria were met. We worked very closely with the city. We watched them carefully. We watched the stations. One of the benefits of it is that we can actually see the stations in clean at any time of day, and we can see what's going on, and then we can photograph and make sure that the graffiti issues are solved as well. But this is something that has been in place now for a couple of years, and that we have had success in seeing it actually in Brownsville. Our program is called Connect, the way in which we work with our customers. Rather than just think of us as the one thing here, which is the hardware, which is so easy to think of us as, we're actually all of these things. We now basically enter in an agreement. It's a subscription agreement. It's a 60-month term where we give you all of the maintenance that you need included in the system. So many people think of it as the hardware. I'm going to argue that every single one of these components on this screen are equally important. The software is the smarts of the system. That is what's going to tell you when to go. That's what's going to be able to give you your diversion numbers quarterly or annually. It's going to be able to tell you what your recycling ratios are. It's going to be able to tell you exactly how many stations you have out there and how many need to be emptied. It is a comprehensive software dashboard, if you will. And depending on who you are and what level of information you want, we can tweak that. So we work very carefully to say if a certain collection crew only wants to look at a certain number of parks, they will see that. And if somebody else wants to see your diversion numbers year over year, you can generate that report. So it's very important for us to work very closely with you to understand who needs what information and to make sure that we give them those privileges through the software. Once we have the recommendation, and I'll talk about that in a minute, we come out here and install it for you. So we make sure that they're installed properly. Earlier, a question came up about mobility of stations. Are we able to move stations? What we like to do is put our footprint where it belongs, and then if there are some number of stations you want as your mobile stations, then we won't install those, and those can be used to move from event to event. I heard things about Cyclobia and the Zumbathon and some of these other great events that your city puts on, and this would be a perfect implementation to have some mobile units that you can take from event to event. The setup and training here is critical. Our team works very closely with all of you. We figure out who are the right stakeholders for the system. We train you on it, not only the hardware, but also the software to make sure that everybody knows how to use it. We automate the monitoring of it, so I will know and our team will know and will alert you and will work with you if there's an alert on the system or if something's going on, or if a door is left open. We're very much in partnership with you to make sure that the system works as it should. Once a year, we come out and clean the entire system. We power wash these stations from top to bottom. We inspect them to make sure that they're working properly, and we do any kind of preventative maintenance work that you might need to make sure that they're going to continue to work as they should. And of course, it comes with a full warranty, so you don't have to worry about any expenses going forward. It's packaged in. If a battery needs to be replaced in a couple of years, we're going to go ahead and send out that battery to get it replaced. Okay, let's dive into what we found here. My team has spent a significant amount of time here looking at the 37 different parks and trails. Essentially, we've broken these up with Damaris's great help to set 1 parks, which is 17 parks, and set 2 parks, which is 20 parks. The list of the parks you can see here. What we found is there was, I'm actually missing the numbers right here. There's about, Aaron, if you can, do you know, is it, the number's not right up here, is it? 2, all right, anyway, there's I want to say about 400 bins in your current deployments that are all waste bins, and then 2 recycling bins. But basically, in terms of the assessment, there are 3 things that we looked at. 1, the inventory of your current waste footprint. How many stations do you have out there? We understand there's not a lot of recycling out there right now, so we were looking at the waste stations that were out there. We wanted to identify all the issue areas, so there were certain areas where we saw a lot of overflow problems, and that we track, and that goes into our assessment to figure out how we can do a better job with those areas. And then 3, create this plan for the system based on what we found. And so in talking to the different collection crews at the different parks, we understand how frequently they're collecting, which areas they have overflows, which areas they might have other issues, which areas they might have to do multiple collections a day. And that all factors into our assessments and our findings and our recommendations. Okay. In terms of some of our visual findings, I think sometimes pictures speak louder than words. As you can see here, there's a large number of bins throughout your park system and some very inconsistent look and feel of the bins. In some areas, you actually have tops on your bins. In other areas, there are these open bins. Important things to note here that open bins, if you have them, of course, that's very easy. As we were talking earlier, people not only will fill them to the top, but they will happily continue to fill them until they're overflowing. Windblown litter is a problem, and pest access is a problem. Inconsistent bins leads to visitor confusion. People don't know what goes where, and so they just throw everything in one. Different shapes, different sizes, different colors. One of the things, and you can see in these pictures, especially the pictures over on the left, we found so much recycling matter in the waste bins. And we thought, wouldn't it be fantastic if we can offer a place for people actually to put their bottles, which are so frequently brought into the parks. Obviously, there's no data and no system, no intelligence right now to track what's going on there and to be able to do it more efficiently. But we did find that the employees that we spoke to were very engaged and loved the idea of a system and loved the idea of using a more efficient way of knowing when to go. In terms of our deployment, we have quite a I would say, Big Belly concoction here. We have everything from single stations, you can see up here, up to triple stations. And they all have different rhyme or reason and different reasons for putting them in place. We have recommended a fleet of all of these, and we've recommended individual fleets for each park. So we have in the folders that we will hand out, we have written down the recommendations of exactly how many bins you currently have and what we're recommending and what the configuration in each park will be. So we can go through that, and we've included those in these packets here. In terms of your overall savings with Big Belly, this sort of says it all, I think. Right now, this was the number I was looking for before. You have 432 traditional bins. We're going to suggest 337 Big Belly stations. Your total capacity that you have with your existing fleet out there on the street is 19,000 gallons, and we're going to put in, with our slightly reduced footprint, 56,000 gallons of capacity. That's really going to help you cut down on those collections. Right? When we created this, we worked with 5 collections per week per bin, but we've since given updated information which actually said you're collecting 7 times a week. So these numbers are only going to grow. But again, when we created this, it was 5 collections per bin per week, and you were looking at almost 10,000 collections per month. And with our system, again, getting that 80% efficiency, we're going to likely be able to get that down to just 1 time a week, or maybe 1.2 times a week on average, and get those collections down to about 1,400 collections per month. One other thing to think about, you don't often do, is how many bags you use. When you constantly empty those bags that are not full, you're going through almost 10,000 bags per month, and with our system, we should be able to drop that down to just under 3,000 bags per month. And then last but not least, it's the labor hours. And this is the real driver behind most cities and most park systems and most universities leveraging a system like this. It's getting back your labor hours. And with this, right now, we have, this is a little typo. This should be per year, that last line, number of labor hours per year. But what we're looking at is being able to reallocate about 21,000 labor hours back to more meaningful work, and you can determine what that work looks like. I have some parks case studies here, but I also want to be very cognizant of time, so maybe the parks case studies are in your folders, but maybe I could open it up to any questions you may have.
I have a question, and I'm sorry if you already covered it. But as far as the software component, what if there's a glitch or something like that goes out? Is that included in the purchase of the machines where you fix those glitches, or?
Yes.
Okay.
The software is something that we're constantly updating and giving you new versions and new features and functions. But you will be trained on the software. It's included in the system. Every single one of the things in those 8 circles is included in the pricing of the system.
Do the batteries have warranty?
The batteries, they're all included. The batteries last about 2.5, 3 years in a station. And again, if a battery fails, then we'll go ahead and send out another battery at no charge. It's included in the system.
Does it have like a time frame, or is it like a lifetime battery guarantee?
The batteries last about 2.5 years, and especially in a climate like this. So we plan for that and anticipate that and build that into the warranty. So it's included. So you don't have to worry about it.
I have a question. Several years ago, before we bought these, I sat in with Healthy Communities and some of other folks that were interested in, I guess it was your predecessors that taught us about, taught the group about Big Belly. And since then, I've seen them in other cities, and I've been very impressed with them. But I do remember them saying, your predecessor, that the best savings is realized when one entire route is taken over by Big Belly. And so my question is, are the trash pickups in the parks on their individual routes, or are they mingled with the neighborhoods around them?
Park specific.
Park specific. So that would realize an increased savings, because this would be taking over one route entirely.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
your disposal of whatever you pick up? Are you gonna take it to our landfill, or are you gonna take it to your facility and be able to?
That would be through ESPA Park, so how we dispose of it, just normally through the dumpsters and GMS, the contractor that we have. So, now the recycling, that's something where we figure out on which is the opportunity, we take it to the recycling center, is probably the way we would go.
And we get no franchise fee from Big Belly?
I'm not aware of.
Okay. Because you're gonna be going through the GMS contract?
Yeah, we're still collecting all the Big Belly material that we get now from the units that we have. And, right now, the trash goes into just the regular waste bin.
Into the waste bin that
The
GMS
dumpster,
collects
yes,
from the city
correct.
and takes to
And
our
then they
landfill?
separate the recycling for that contract, is my understanding.
I think last time when that committee met, we talked about wrapping the Big Bellies with advertisement.
True.
So that's something we could look at.
Yes, that's possible.
Yeah, we sort of wrap that into our findings, being able to put what we call our custom wraps on them. It's all included in that program, so that you can go ahead and do that. A nice thing about that is you use it as a major education piece for your community. So we can help you and we can work with you on designing wraps that talk about what goes into a Big Belly, that says, you know, this is landfill and this is recycling, and we can really help drive your diversion goals. We've done a lot of these before, and so we can kind of give you some samples and work together with you on coming up with something that you like. The other thing, just to touch back on your question, was part of our reporting captures your diversion rates and your recycling ratios. So if you're looking at trying to capture what's not going into landfill and what you're now able to recycle, this all comes as part of our reporting that you can generate quarterly or annually or daily, for that matter.
There's no further questions. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
At this time, we'll begin our regular meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Let's remain standing for the prayer. Father God, we thank you for the many great things that are happening in the city of Brownsville. And Lord, we ask you to forgive us for the times when we have not been grateful for the things you've already done. We ask you to lead and guide us towards the opportunities that will improve Brownsville for the future. Lead and guide each of our mayors today. Lead and guide everything that happens in this meeting. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. The mayor's activity update. The mayor's not here today, so Mayor Pro Tem Portillo,
No activity.
no report? No. The commissioner's activity update.
I have one, just to let you know that the stoplight that we are installing on Austin and Minnesota should be up and running by mid-July. We got a report about that today. And I met with Ruth Osuna, our assistant city manager, and we are placing some sidewalks that will reach from McKenzie to Perkins Middle School, and that should start over the summer and hopefully be in before school starts this August.
I have a report. First, I'd like to thank city staff, especially the health departments, traffic, police, School of Public Health, Healthy Communities, all the many partners that participated in the last Ciclovia on Friday night. It was a wonderful event and a celebration of our downtown, and we had over 3,500 people in the streets that night. Secondly, I'd like to note that the Senior Advocacy Coalition meeting is going to be coming up on June 23rd at 1 p.m. at Valley Regional, and there will be a doc talk there and some other information and participation for our senior citizens. And finally, I'd like to take my hat off, and hopefully you will join me, to the Parks Department. I had spent some time speaking to Damaris and her very, very skilled staff, and found that there have recently been 4 projects that have happened within the Parks Department at the Bark Park, at Sam's Pool, at the Gonzalez Park, and 2 at Gonzalez Park regarding a tree removal and drain repairs. And because of the skill and enthusiasm of the Parks Department, they were able to save over $36,000 by doing the work with their own skill set in an efficient and productive manner. So I do think that we are all grateful to the Parks Department for your skill, especially in times of summer when kids are out there and families are looking for places to enjoy the city with. So please join me in thanking the Parks Department for what they do.
I came back from vacation, from a small vacation that I took for 4 days, and found out that we had 2 major accidents on the intersection of Tulipan and East Avenue. Most unfortunately, a motorcyclist lost their life. Mostly, what does it due to? It's due to our cell phones. It's due to people texting. It's due to people being on Facebook. It's due to people trying to use the phone in their vehicles, not wearing headsets, different types of devices to be able to hold your phone while you're driving. I know that we depend on our cell phones now for just about everything, but it's costing lives. We have enforced our fines if you're texting while you're driving. This is just to advise the community. You are going to be fined $250 every time that you are caught texting or being distracted while on your phone. People think that the solution to this is a speed hump. Speed hump is not the solution. I've had a speed hump in front of my home, or right next to my home, for about 15 years. And the last thing that thing has served for is a speed deterrent. Everybody speeds over it, even our Border Patrol speeds over that passes by every day. Everybody that passes by there, if you clear that thing at 35 miles an hour, you clear the speed hump, and nothing happens to your vehicle. Those things they're built that way because our emergency vehicles sometimes need to get through them at a fast pace. But the speed hump is not the solution. The solution the traffic came up with for Tulipan and Milpa Verde is they're going to make it a 4-way stop. So as of this week, it'll become a 4-way stop. And hopefully that'll bring, I don't want for people to think that it took the death, it had to take somebody to lose their life for us to come to action. It's not that. We've put a lot of money in infrastructure and in streets to be able to fix that part of the neighborhood for people. And once we fix your street, it's not so that you can race. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying that, we as elected officials, the police department, we cannot control what a human being does. We cannot control when somebody's going to speed. I'll ask you to, look at yourself. And how many times have you caught yourself, like I have, driving down my neighborhood street at 35 miles an hour, going over the speed limit in my own neighborhood? When we have the police department go out there and actually do our surveys and be able to monitor the neighborhood, the majority of the people that are getting the tickets are the people that live within their own neighborhood. Those are the ones getting the tickets. So kind of defeats the purpose many a times. So what I'm going to ask is, I'm not promoting any single company. I'm not promoting any single store. I'm just asking, my family and I, we went out yesterday and we prepared our vehicles with little devices so that we could hold our phones. My vehicle is a 2007, so it's not up to date like others, where you can program your phone to your Bluetooth. So I purchased a little speaker that I put in my vehicle so that I could be able to just Bluetooth my phone and be able to speak. Came out to about $80, but I think that between $80 and being able to be proactive and a $250 fine, I think I'd rather spend $80 right now. So just to let people know, our police department is actively out there, not intentionally, but if you are caught texting while you're driving, you will be stopped and you will be fined $250 during the first offense, and then they carry over. So please, if people can please be careful as we're driving around. It's summer, there's a lot of kids out on the street. out in the neighborhoods, and we just need to be proactive and careful. Thank you.
The first proclamation, Warrior United in Arms.
The lightsaber went off. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and begin as soon as everybody gets lined up. Is that now? Or should I read? Okay. Proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, honoring and recognizing Warriors United in Arms. Whereas Warriors United in Arms is a nonprofit organization composed of veterans, spouses, and their family members. Founded in 2014, Warriors United in Arms currently has 30 members and is supported through fundraisers and donations. Whereas Warriors United in Arms' mission is to serve veterans and their families in need of financial assistance, guidance with filing claims, information regarding veterans' issues, support for post-traumatic stress disorder or post-traumatic brain injury, and assistance with wheelchairs, walkers, and hospital beds. Whereas Warriors United in Arms has provided clothing to produce donations to local agencies for homeless veterans, transportation and meal assistance for homeless veterans and veterans with cancer, a hospital bed for a terminally ill veteran, and financial support and assistance for a veteran's widow. Whereas, since 2014, Warriors United in Arms has provided assistance to a total of 12 veterans to seek to double its efforts through helping veterans locally and valley-wide. And whereas, the community of Brownsville recognizes Warriors United in Arms for its ongoing support of veterans and for its numerous presentations of colors during local ceremonies. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by the virtue of the authority vested of the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby honor and recognize Warriors United in Arms for their actions, service, and tremendous contributions made in support of our veterans, done on this 21st day of June, 2016, the City Commission. Is there a representative that would like to say a few words on behalf of your organization?
Good afternoon, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Piencio E. Banda, Warriors United in Arms Commander, and the gentleman next to me right here is the organizer of this organization. He started it. And we have Roger Garcia. Tony Garcia is the one that started the organization. Roger Garcia is our chaplain. Jesse Huerta is our secretary. Our treasurer. And Wally Hodges is our treasurer. The rest of them are members that were the original members of the organization. I've only been here a year and a half with them. And I'm honored to be their commander. I stepped up because we needed one. And up to now, with their help, we're all doing a good job. Tony?
First of all, I want to thank the City of Brownsville and City Commission. Our main job is our main mission is to help veterans in distress, not only in veterans issues, but we also help them financially. And like your proclamation states, we also help, and we have hospital equipment in case anybody needs a wheelchair, hospital bed, we have that. Sometimes it's very difficult for a veteran that's not 100% disabled to get assistance from the VA. It's a time-consuming process. So if anybody here knows of a veteran that needs hospital equipment. We have some available, and we also would like to help veterans if they have problems paying their utility bills, or widows. If they have problems with getting groceries, we would be more than happy to buy them groceries and help them pay their utility bills. We don't have a lot of money, but we have a little bit of money that, like the commander said, that we raise through fundraising. And our mission is to help all veterans. In our youth, we never left a soldier behind in the field. And for sure, we're not going to leave a veteran behind. If we can help, we will help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless you all.
Thank you for everything you do.
Our next proclamation, Tip of Texas Debate Team.
It's scary.
It's a lot of future lawyers in one room.
We did the Great Debate. Yeah, I did all of them.
I'm glad I gave you that. Maybe you should go over there and read it. You don't want to read it at the podium? It's like personal.
I'm gonna go read it.
It's gonna read it.
Is it Pauline Jetro or what?
I'm just going to read it from down here. How is everyone? Good. Great. So we had some fine ladies and gentlemen who have forged our city, our state, and our great nation, and now we have the future. So with that, a proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, honoring and recognizing the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team. Whereas the National Hispanic Institute is an international youth organization dedicated to excellence and community leadership with a focus on developing students who want to play a key role in bringing about prosperity and opportunity in their home Latino communities. The NHI, since 1981, has worked with over 80,000 hardworking students who aim to realize their full potential as community leaders. Whereas the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team participated in the 2016 National Hispanic Institute's Great Debate, which took place on June 9th through the 12th, 2016, at Austin College in Sherman, Texas. The Great Debate invites between 150 to 280 students annually to discuss and debate important issues related to the Latino community. During the Great Debate, students increase their capacity to express thought, respond to intellectual challenges, work in organized endeavors, and compete against equally competent peers. Whereas the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team was led by Tino Villarreal and coaches Renata Martinez, Marcela Cuadra, Adrián Pérez, participants included Renata Aldrete, David Barrios, Carlos Esquivel, Lorena Ramirez, Mariene Garcia, Melissa Tortella, Kenny Escobar, Alejandro Cuadra. Whereas on Saturday, June 11, 2016, the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team won 4 of the 14 top awards, leading them to earn the Silver Cup in the Great Debate. In addition, students representing the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team placed in individual categories including Alejandro Cuadra, first place oratory, David Rodriguez, all-state leader, cross-examination, Tessa Muskis, all-state attorney, mock trial, Gisela Elizondo, all-state member, mock trial, Lucy Lopez, Elite 8, extemporaneous speaking. Whereas the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team victory in the National Hispanic Institute's Great Debate is a great indication of the quality education and commitment to excellence by the students of Brownsville. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, by virtue and authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all the citizens, do hereby honor and recognize the Tip of Texas Great Debate Team, and further call upon the citizens of Brownsville to celebrate students whose hard work, determination, and skill led them to a first-place victory in the 2016 Great Debate. Signed, this 21st of June, 2016. Congratulations, kids.
Tino, and if you could say how long you've been doing this for? Because you were also my coach when I was doing this.
Fast.
Well, I thank you, Debbie, for letting everyone know that I'm getting older. But I have been involved with the National Hispanic Institute since 1996, and ever since then I've been involved as a volunteer and community member that really believes in leadership development. In 2011, I was asked to sit on the board of directors for this organization. I tend to believe in it and its worth for every kid. I want to thank all of these students and their parents and the coaches, because this program is run by youth for the youth. And a lot of great individuals have gone through this program. We have 2 city commissioners sitting on here right now that are former members and of the Tip of Texas team, but they're always members of the National Hispanic Institute. I do want to challenge the commission in what we are doing as a city to create leaders that are going to fill your seats in the next 15 to 20 years. And I know that at times we believe that maybe BISD or the school districts, that is their job. And unfortunately, as a community member and a humble servant, I can tell you that education systems have their hands full trying to graduate students and send them to college. And it's organizations like this, a nonprofit organization, that really focus on the development of leadership and the skills that it's going to take to hopefully sit in your seat one day and see these young people leading communities wherever they may go. And any support that you could give us, we are nonprofit. Our local region is always in need. There's a lot of students that would like to participate that just can't afford it. And being a member of the city, always hearing in Brownsville of our deficits and the shortcomings that we have, I think this is a great testament that we just competed against the entire state of some of the top kids in the state. And for the 5th time, we have earned the first place championship in the state, where we can show people that the city of Brownsville is the best, is the brightest, is the smartest, and has a phenomenal future. So thank you very much.
Next, we have consent agenda items A through C.
Move to approve?
Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Pro Tem, at this time, staff would like to move action items 27 and 28 to be heard before the public hearings.
Does anybody object to this movement?
So move.
Second.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Action item number 27, consideration and action to adopt ordinance number 2016-1616, authorizing the issue and sale and delivery of up to $12,900,000 in aggregate principal amount of the City of Brownsville, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2016, securing the payment thereof by authorizing the levy of an annual ad valorem tax and pledge of certain surplus revenues of the city's municipal landfill system, and approving and authorizing the execution of a paying agent register agreement, a purchase contract, an official statement, and all instruments and procedures related thereto.
Good evening, Honorable Pro Tem. My name is Lupe Granado, Finance Director. I'm going to introduce Mr. Noe Hinojosa from the Estado de Hinojosa to introduce this item.
Sure, it's nice to be here tonight. Thank you. Noe Hinojosa, for the record, with the Estado de Hinojosa and Company. I think, well, it just brings me chills to see all these kids and
Thank you.
coming before us. That's fun. The item before you is having to do with the sale of about $13 million of debt. And I wanted to sort of walk you through this presentation that Mr. Granados is passing for us. If anything, I just take you to page 4 on the first, I guess, on the first pamphlet or handout that he's given out. Better be lucky than smart. In the last, I think I've been involved with the city for about 22 years now, and I think this is the lowest we've ever gone to the market on your behalf and actually borrowed at the lowest possible rate. The loan that we placed just yesterday, and certainly will be confirmed by you tonight, hopefully, was attain an interest rate on average of 2.7% over 20 years. I wanted to sort of walk you through briefly on page 6, and what's on the screen is a little bit different than what's handed to you in terms of is better prepared, I think, physically than over the screen. But in essence, you got about $158 million worth of debt outstanding. At the end of this fiscal year 2016, you will be at about $148 million in debt, including the loan that we're doing tonight. The loan that is being done tonight is for the total amount of $11,640,000. The $11,640 will allow you to fund on the following page, $12,550,000. Basically, interest rates are so low that an investor today pays you a premium if you increase his borrowing rate. So you don't have to borrow $12,550,000. You actually borrow less to get $12,550,000. But I think it's important for the public to know that we're borrowing money, about $5 million for street and drainage improvements, for the Joe Colunga Maintenance Building Rehab Center or Rehab Building. Various city buildings need roof replacements. We're borrowing $500,000 for that. Traffic signals, about $750,000. We're doing a computer network upgrade of about $2 million, and we're purchasing about $2.8 million in police vehicles. On this page, basically, as I refer to the ugly page, from left to right, you got row number 11. 2016, your property values are about $6 billion. So when I mentioned that you have debt outstanding of about $148 million, 148 is supported by $6 billion in property value debt. That's 2.5%, and that's very manageable. In fact, both the rating agencies of Moody's, which give you a AA credit rating, a AA minus actually, AA3, and S&P gave you a stable AA, recognize that your debt is very manageable. So the way this looks, as you can see there on page 3 of 6, is your payments are $16 million this year, and through 24 pretty much stays in that average of $16.5 million. When you borrow this loan, in what is in yellow, in the highlight yellow, you'll see the payments are on average at $824,000 or $825,000. The borrowing rate on that same column, just by row number 9, is 2.7%. You're again borrowing $11,640,000 to fund $12,550,000. As you go across the spreadsheet, you see on the far right-hand columns, on column M, row number 12, as far as 2017, this debt will require to adjust your debt service tax rate by 0.7 of a penny. So this year, the year that you're under, fiscal year 16, you're at 24.77 cents to pay debt. You would have to go to 25.48 in order to be able to serve this debt. Now, there are 2 green columns there that are blank. When you turn to the next page, the next item on the agenda, which is item 28, deals with a potential refinancing that we were not aware of as of 2 months ago. But since rates are so low, we went out and looked at your entire debt portfolio of $148 million and found that there are some 2008 bonds that are carrying rates of about 5%, and we think we can refinance those for about 1.97%. So we think in about a month we'll come back to you if you give us the authority at the next item on the agenda to proceed, that we can get you for $10 million, about $1.3 million in savings. That will have an impact on your 17 tax rate. Then in October, there'll be another refinancing that has nothing to do with us not being able to do it today, but the IRS restricts you as to how many refinancings you can do for tax-exempt obligations. So we're not allowed to do the refinancing until October. And with that said, there may be, if market stays, and we're hopeful that it will stay, we may have another two swings at the party here. And with that, I will basically close the item. That's what is on the agenda to discuss. We did another refinancing, if you remember, for the BCIC. That was approved last night. We exceeded their expectations. We got that loan, and it's in here on page 9. We got them savings of $483,000. It's a very small loan, but I'd rather the city of Brownsville keep the money than pay into the investors. So I can tell you that I like to read for the benefit of the public. There's a section dealing with the Standard & Poor's opinion, and that is that they gave you a AA rating, very strong. The highest rating is a AAA rating. And Standard & Poor's mentioned, and I can't thank enough, again, the city staff who was involved in making this rating presentations a week ago or more. I know Lupe Granado was very involved with this presentation, and I know Mr. Gonzalez has been a great friend and colleague, has been under the weather, but he also participated in preparing these presentations and Charlie's leadership. But in any event, we had people from the BCIC or BEDC help us with the presentation and made a note of the fact that the port is growing left and right. We got projects like SpaceX coming to town, the liquefied or the gas plants that are being considered being done at the port. It's also been a big boost for our economy. And that on the rating reports has been mentioned that basically Standard & Poor's in New York recognizes you having a strong economy, adequate economy, but strong management with good financial policies and practices on their financial management assessment methodology. Your strong budgetary performance with an operating surplus in the general fund and a slight operating surplus at the total government fund level in fiscal 15 is also an added plus for you. The fact that you continue to preserve very strong budgetary flexibility is also a plus. So I commend you for from time to time following our stubbornness and in terms of counseling you and advising you, but it seems like you're doing just well. With that, I entertain any questions you may have. Yes, Commissioner.
On 3 of 6?
Yes, sir.
Page 3 of 6?
Yes, sir.
Can you explain the par amount and the TIC? Because I didn't understand how you said we borrow less to get 12.5.
Well, someone like you would ask. It's a difficult way of answering in layman terms, but pretty much to tell you this. People today they don't want to get a 2.7% rate. So what they ask you to do is, hey, why don't you allow me to lend you $1? But instead of lending you $1, I'm going to lend you $1.05. But in return of paying me 2.7% rate, pay me a 5%. So we call that, I'm going to allow you to pay me a premium for my bond as long as I can pay you 5%. So you're going to be paying them a 5% rate, not all the way through the interest rate scale, but because of the fact that you're getting more money up front for your $11,640,000, the difference between $12,550 and $11,640,000 is about $800,000+. Well, we take into account that premium and discount it from the borrowing rate. The borrowing rate is going to be, I would say, somewhere between 4% and 5% on a nominal basis. But when you take into account the premium that they're giving you up front, you discount that from the interest you're paying to them. That's literally as simple as I can explain, but I can give you a mathematical explanation if you so desire later on by email.
So it boils down to $4 million in interest.
It boils down to pretty much, for your $11,640,000, you're paying, the total principal interest payments are $16,494,000 at the very bottom. So you take $16,494,000 minus the $11,640,000, it's about $4 million in change over 20 years.
That's a reasonable deal?
That is more than, I mean, I can tell you, at my age, I've seen loans done here at 6.5 and 6 3/4. So we are actually very fortunate to get that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hinojosa, this is sidetracking, but still on this. We have a debt of about $148 million, is I think what you've informed us. Usually our cash flow is about $110 million a year. So as our financial advisor, what are some of the measures that we should be taking as a city, even though we have a great bond rating or a credit rating? I mean, really our debt ratio, I really don't know, our debt to equity, I don't know really what it would call in a city, in a public finance setting. But the thing is, I mean, we're not bringing in enough to cover what we have in debt. Even though it's a very manageable debt, I mean, it's still pretty high compared to other cities in Texas. So according to TML. So I don't know if TML is right or maybe I'm just misunderstanding, but I'm thinking, well, what can we do in the future to start saving some money or actually start paying down this debt? And because every year I just feel that our debt keeps growing because we need more services and we're not really growing, and it's really, so we're ballooning, and basically what we're doing is we're using credit, or we're borrowing funds to actually maintain our current account. So eventually, I mean, it's going to be unsupportable.
Actually, if you go to page 6, you'll see there that your payments, unlike enterprises, whether they're private or public, this is not an enterprise that runs specifically on revenues, and you tend to generate a profit in order to pay your debt. This is not a debt to equity issue in the sense that you're not supporting these debt payments, these specific debt payments, by generating a profit. I think I turned it off by accident. Sorry. All right, it's coming back on. Kind of convenient that I turned it off at that point.
So in your opinion, are we okay financially, is my question compared?
Financially, you're okay, but here is where the question comes to you. And that is that today, your tax rate is 70 cents. So if you own a property of $100,000, you're being levied by this city 70 cents per $100 of assessed value. When you look at that tax rate of 70 cents and you compare that with other communities along the valley, I would challenge you to believe that we're probably among not the highest, but on the higher average of other communities in the valley. And that's what I think you need to be mindful of. Because the higher the tax rate on property taxes, the more of a chance you're going to have in bringing in either economic development or more people to live in your city. So what you try to do is be right on average. And I want to say that at 70 cents, you're high on average. Now, the things that you can do, if you look at that page 6, you'll see that you got payments on your current debt that literally from here to 24 are pretty constant. And then after 24, they drop significantly. So what that gives you, it gives you the ability to, as years go by, you're able to fund for more needs, but unfortunately not until 2025. Well, you got needs tomorrow and the day after. Tomorrow, our staff and your staff are going to meet for about a good 4 or 5 hours to go over capital needs of the city. In terms of, we got an airport project. I think that's another project that's coming before you in the next 3 or 4 months. I can tell you that being a resident of Dallas is very convenient for us and many other passengers, because every time I fly in here, it's full flights that go to the island a lot. I mean, this airport is just doing well, and I think you're at a point that you need to do something about it. So how are we going to fund for that? That's something we're going to be probably having a workshop later in the year to go over this. But being direct to your question, your debt is manageable. You have a dedicated tax for that. So the only here, if I'm you, what I'd be concerned about is 70 cents too high versus other cities. It's not about debt to equity, but when I put you at par with other cities, and I can give you we have at our office, we have a study that deals with the top 25 cities in Texas. And I think Brownsville, in our research, you're probably about 24, thereabouts, 25. And you're probably on the upper echelon of the tax rate. But Dallas, we did a deal for Dallas today. It was much larger financing for Dallas, so $640 million financing. And their tax rate is 72, 74 cents. But they're much more diverse. Their property values are about 78 or $90 billion versus your $6 billion. Bless you. So, but it's not an easy answer for that.
Could you send me that report?
I will do that. Yeah, definitely. But I do need a motion for this item.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Then the next item is 28.
Agenda item number 28, consideration and action to adopt ordinance number 2016-1617, authorizing the issuance, sale, and delivery of up to $12.5 million in principal amount of the City of Brownsville, Texas, General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2016, approving and authorizing the execution of an escrow agreement, a paid agent registrar agreement, a purchase contract, and other instruments and procedures related thereto, delegating authority to certain city officials to select outstanding obligations to be refunded and approve all final terms of the bonds, approving an official statement and calling certain obligations for redemption.
So there I'll take you to what is referred as page 209. I don't know why it got to page 209. But basically, there's your entire debt portfolio again. And in our archives, we actually have every financing that the city has by year, by interest rate on every given year. And what's on green here is the bonds that are being considered tonight. And that is that you have a portion of the 2008 bonds and a portion of your 2008 bonds, of which you have outstanding balances of about $24 million. We only would do a portion of that, and the portion that we're going to be taking out, it's about $10,525,000 that are carrying a rate of 5.1%, and that 5.1% will be refinanced with a rate of 1.97%. So that 1.97% will be your new rate. These are bonds that, again, show you what the coupons are, what the rates are.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you in the thicker packet or the
We're not the thinner
small,
packet.
thinner? Okay.
So we're not
showing 209, but what are we showing them?
Page 209 through.
Page 6, I believe.
Page
What is it?
6, not 209.
Yeah. That's what it should say.
Sorry.
No problem. Excuse me. I mean, this again just shows you where the market is at. On page 206, it shows you the calendar for this week. In Texas alone, there's been a supply of about 1.4 billion all over the state. The largest loan is the one being done tomorrow for 578, which is at a premium, and that gets about 640 million. Arlington ISD up in the Metroplex, Richardson too, and there's Brownsville at the bottom, second from the bottom up, with 12,870,000. And so we keep an eye on that every week. And today, in looking at your portfolio, 158, there is 2 bonds that were issued in 08 that are carrying rates of about 5.1%. We will take those guys out and replace them with 195. That will affect your column in terms of or your charge on the right. There will be lower payments then. Now, what's on yellow means that we're not doing it tonight, but if everything prevails, sometime in September, we'll come to you and do that deal too. So, so in a nutshell, here are your savings. We can manipulate those savings. Our attempt is going to be to push the savings to the front so that the tax rate gets to be absolutely nothing, hopefully, for next year, despite the fact that we just borrowed $13 million of new money. And the plan is to get the authority for us to proceed. It takes us about a month between now and the time. Actually, in this particular case, it's going to take us a little longer because we got holidays in between. So we're looking at selling these bonds on or about August the 3rd, and today being June 21st. So that's about it. There will be the players, and hopefully everything will stay the same. So I need a motion to proceed with the plan of finance.
Motion to proceed?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for your trust.
Thank you.
I'll get you that.
We will now go back to public hearings. Item number 4, presentation and public hearing regarding the one-year annual action plan program year 2016.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Commissioners. Tonight, I will be presenting to you the City of Brownsville's proposed one-year annual action plan for the program year 2016. The Office of Grant Management and Community Development is responsible for administrating funding received from the U.S. Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the City of Brownsville. Our department has been working on developing the one-year action plan since November. The vision of the department is to transform and empower the lives of Brownsville residents. The department is made up of 2 divisions. The Grants Department, which focuses on researching, identifying, and securing grants, consisting of local, state, federal, and foundation grants for Brownsville. And the Community Development Division is responsible for securing and managing HUD allocations. During the last program year, the city received a total of over $3.4 million in grant entitlement funds. As you know, HUD provides support for community development activities. HUD allocates funding to state and local governments on a formula basis to address the needs on a local level. The City of Brownsville receives an annual allocation from HUD for the following programs: the Community Development Block Grant Fund, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, known as HOME, and the Emergency Solutions Grant, known as ESG. For each program, we must meet federal objectives. For CDBG, each activity must meet one of the 3 national objectives, which include to benefit low and moderate income individuals, aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight, or to meet a need having a particular urgency. The main objectives for HOME are listed on the slide, some of which include provide decent, affordable housing and to strengthen the ability of state and local governments to provide housing. And ESG is aimed to address homelessness, and some of its objectives include street outreach, homeless prevention, emergency shelter, and rapid rehousing. So to receive HUD funds, the city must complete and submit a consolidated plan, which describes our community development priorities and multi-year goals based on assessment of housing and community development needs, an analysis on housing and economic market conditions and available resources. And last year, we presented our 5-year consolidated plan, which ranged from 2015 to 2019, which was approved by City Commission and by HUD. The comp plan is carried out through annual action plans. We are presenting to you year 2 of the consolidated plan. We must submit a 1-year annual action plan, which provides a summary of actions, activities, and resources that will be addressed to address the priority needs. Now, as far as the citizen participation, we kicked off the Community Voice Campaign, our 4th annual Community Voice Campaign, and we engaged the community as described in the Citizen Participation Plan. Opportunities are built within the Citizen Participation Plan process to allow community and beneficiary input, including public hearings, reviewing program performance, which is done in December with our CAPER, and allowing written feedback. This past November, as described, we kicked off our 4th annual Community Voice Campaign, which has been very successful. The campaign ensures that residents of Brownsville are actively engaged in making recommendations for community improvements. Assessments were conducted at town hall meetings, community events, at the homeless shelter at Ozanam, and other areas. The results that identify priorities are taken into account during the application review process. The following are the estimated funding allocations for each program. For CDBG, it's a little bit over $2.5 million. For home, it's $677,336. And for ESG, it's $229,510. Please note there will be 0 uncommitted funds for program year 2016. The total allocation will be committed to different programs and activities. And also please note that the funding amounts may change on an annual basis depending on Congress. So back in November 2015, we held our annual Community Development Summit, where we announced the process to request HUD funds to the different organizations, and we held workshops for interested organizations. We then opened the application process up and provided technical assistance throughout the application process. There were a total of 45 applications submitted, of which 38 were eligible. The total amount available for funding is a little bit over $3.4 million, and the total amount that was requested from all the applications was over $8 million. So this is a very competitive process. 22 projects are being recommended for funding. The criteria that is used when providing recommendations for funding include what the project proposal is, who is going to be helped, does the applicant agency have the capacity, audits of the organization and the financial capacity of the organization, the history of awards that the organization has received, sustainability. What is the plans of the organization if they don't receive other types of funds? How will they sustain the project? And this is extremely important because we work with the programs on a reimbursement basis. And also, how will the activities set forth be accomplished? So for CDBG, from the $2.5 million allocation, $731,764 will be going to general administration. This includes the 20% admin cap of the annual allocation, which is for operations and for staffing. It also includes the Section 108 loan repayment in the amount of $224,500. We are scheduled to pay off this loan, which is from 2007, by February 2018. The $1.4 million will be going to capital improvement projects, which are listed there. As you see, funding is recommended for drainage, the Hope Park Pump House, and streets, overlay improvement project, and full reconstruction. Now, drainage and streets were identified as top priorities in our Community Voice campaign. Other projects being recommended for funding are downtown improvements, the Intensive Block Improvement Program, which is a facade program, ADA bus stop enhancements, ProMist vector control, and park restorations, which include Garfield and Reese. There is a 15% cap of CDBG allocation that we set for social services. A total of $326,653 will be used to fund the following social service programs: Brownsville Adult Literacy Center for the Computer Skills Training Program, which will provide weekly training to low-income Brownsville residents to assist in upgrading job skills. The Moody Clinic for Rehabilitation Services to Children with Special Needs will provide speech, language, physical, and occupational therapy to children with a diagnosed developmental delay. For CASA, court-appointed advocates of Cameron and Willacy counties for the foster care program, for the recruitment and training of community volunteers who speak on behalf of the children who are victimized by abuse or neglect in their home. Children are placed in foster care after removal from their home for safety. For CDCB for La Puerta, for comprehensive housing counseling and financial education program, certified counselors meet with clients to help them prepare to become home buyers. Sunshine Haven for the palliative care services to provide 24-hour care for the terminally ill enrolled in hospice for Brownsville residents. The Tip of Texas Family Outreach Parenting Program to provide services to low, moderate income families, strengthening families and preventing child abuse and neglect by providing an array of supportive services. And to the United Way of Southern Cameron County for the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program to benefit low-income residents through the assistance of tax returns. And their recommended amounts are there on the respective slide. The annual allocation for home will cover 10% cap for the administrative services, and the rest of the allocation will fund Chodo Set-Aside Project, which is required to fund a community housing development organization, and this is for the Youth Build LEED Home Project. This will be the 4th LEED certified home built in, such home built south of San Antonio in Texas. The program will allow Youth Build students to learn green building techniques, and homes are resource efficient, high-performing, and cost-effective. The home funding will also go to the Homeowner Occupied Rehabilitation and Reconstruction Program, which will reconstruct a minimum of 4 homes. This will be to reconstruct substandard homes, which will promote energy efficiency and also reduce ongoing and future maintenance costs for homeowners. For the Emergency Solutions Grant, the program year 2016 allocations will cover the 7.5% cap for administrative purposes, and the rest of the allocation will fund the Ozanam Center for HMIS, which is a mechanism used to track chronic homelessness and help identify needs and resources. It will also fund rapid rehousing for Ozanam to provide services to individuals and families who are at the shelter and require assistance to obtain permanent housing, which will provide up to 3 months of rental assistance. For the emergency shelter for Ozanam for funding for temporary homeless shelter, which would provide a max of 30 days length of stay, provides 3 hot meals, bedding, case management, etc. And lastly, Friendship of Women for emergency shelter, which would provide comprehensive victim and temporary emergency shelter for victims of family violence and sexual assault. So what are the next steps? The comment period was kicked off with the publication in the Brownsville Herald back in May. The 30-day comment period started May 30th, 2016. It has been extended to July 13th, and the reason for the extension is HUD revised the home allocation amounts on a nationwide basis, so as a courtesy, we extended the public comment period. Comments may be given by email, by phone, or in person. The documents are available at the following locations for review: the Central and Southmost Libraries, the Southmost and West Side Community Network Centers, the Housing Authority for the City of Brownsville, or online at grants.cov.us. One public hearing was held during the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee meeting early in June. We are currently having the 2nd public hearing. On August the 2nd, we will be requesting action for approval, and upon approval by City Commission, the plan will be submitted to HUD by August of 15, 2016, which we're required to submit by then. We should be receiving HUD approval for these funds in October of 2016. Please let me know if you have any questions. This is a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Is there any public comment?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Public hearing, item number 5, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2016-235.84, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 348, zoning, Articles 3 and 4, and dealing with related matters.
Good evening. So my name is Sandra Hernandez, Senior Planner with the Planning Department. I'm here to talk about the ordinance. So this ordinance is part of a larger effort to streamline and improve the existing zoning code. The main change being proposed is to prohibit two-family dwellings, also known as duplexes, in areas zoned commercial. The remaining changes pertain to zoning requirements for duplexes, such as lot size and setbacks. And that's, in essence, the main change that is being addressed with this ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Is there any public comment?
Motion to close public hearing?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 6, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-029 to rezone from dwelling A DA to dwelling G for 0.1928 acres of El Blanco subdivision located at 34 Estero Avenue.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, good evening. This is a case, the current zoning is dwelling A, and it's located on 34 Estero Drive. As you can see, this is the current zoning map. Currently, we've seen this property come to our office a good amount of times. It was, it's actually zoned dwelling, but there's actually 5 units as part of this home. So as part of our multifamily program, they were cited, and they're coming in. They're trying to come into compliance. So they are now proposing to turn these 5 units into a duplex. And therefore, that's why they had to rezone in order to do that. As you can see, this is a picture of the property. We presented it to Planning and Zoning. Planning and Zoning supported this request, and we think it's a good middle ground for the neighborhood. We did get a lot of phone calls about the building. A lot of people complaining about 5 units, but when we explained to them that it was going to be turned into a duplex because of our enforcement efforts, they were very grateful, and they supported it. So we ask for your support tonight. It is a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Even with the a duplex, is there enough on-site parking?
Yes, there's plenty. I mean,
What do they need, 4?
a duplex would only require 2. It's only one per unit in a duplex, yeah. Is there a comment?
Glad to see you're looking good.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, Commissioners, and thank you for your time. The property that you see there is probably one of the best properties on the facility. Originally, it was approved through for remodeling, so the city officials, namely Evaristo Gomez, knew what was going on when they invested money 10 years ago in this property. If you also look at the neighborhood, there's many like duplexes. As a matter of fact, 4 Estero has 3 units on there. The next one, which is, 5 Estero, that's the address, has 3 units on it. And then the next one over has a single-family dwelling, which is also been used as a duplex in that area. And then just right around the corner, you got Acacia Lake. So there's many like facilities around there. The property itself is 8,400 square feet, just 600 square feet short of the requirement for a duplex. So with all those mitigating circumstances, I hope you guys do approve the rezoning to duplex. So that's it for me. And again, thank you.
Ramiro, if the rezoning is denied, what do they have to do?
that'd be, I don't know how to, I mean, I guess you would have to move we'd have to condemn the building and demolition. They couldn't sell it, they couldn't operate 5 units out of it, maybe they could operate 2 units out of it. But we want to encourage them to convert it into a duplex. And that's what P&Z reviewed, and that's why we supported the application. So.
Any more comment?
Motion to close public comment?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Agenda item number 7, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-30 to rezone from general retail H 4CH to general retail J for 0.1377 acres for Lot 10, Block 52 of Bella Vista Addition located at 1837 Taylor. Mayor and Commissioners, please keep in mind that for this one, it requires a supermajority vote.
It requires supermajority because it is on appeal. So the planning and zoning denied it, and the applicants are appealing this case. As you can see, it's located right off International, kind of right behind where that Charlie Clark used dealership is, in the corner of the Expressway and International. And so that's the Charlie Clark right there. And the P&Z looked at this case. They had significant concerns with the amount of density. So if you go back to the original planning behind this neighborhood, a 6,000 square foot lot only allowed for a single family dwelling, and there is an adjacent four unit structure that was permitted, we think about 10 or 15 years ago. And at the time, I believe it was also rezoned. So staff supported it, P&Z denied it, and I can tell you that P&Z really took a hard look at it and really wants to encourage density, but encourage it in the right way and not over density. So that was their conversation. That is why they denied it. Currently they can build a triplex with the current zoning, or they could very easily build a duplex. So that is what the P&Z Commission said. They denied it. It's on appeal to you, and that's why it needs 6 out of 7 votes.
I went to visit the location, and I saw what they have next door. It doesn't look 10 years old to me, but kind of seemed unfair that you have one structure right next to it, and then right next door, you're going to limit the following person. You know, and I sympathize with what they want to do, and I mean, I don't know, I see it as, you know, we need apartments, we need places for people to live, and if there's something right just like it next door, I don't see a problem with something going the same right next door to it. They did provide they do have proper parking, they do have the right,
I would agree with Commissioner Longoria because of the size of the lot. They have that's a very large lot.
It's a dense lot.
I would agree with Commissioner Longoria. I disagree with the Planning and Zoning Commission.
In something like that, are they required to provide any green space for the people that live there?
They're not required to provide they're required to come into compliance with our landscape ordinance and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily park requirement or some sort of playscape.
Like a playground or something like that?
No, that's not in our requirements as of this time. So. But they do, they will have to come into compliance with landscape and every other development ordinance that we have.
So Ramiro, at this point, we approve it, they would still have to come back to you guys with the plans for duplex or where they're gonna build, right?
At this point, you would approve for the zoning case, so it would allow 4 units.
Is that
and then
what
after
they're proposing?
Huh?
Do we know what they're proposing, or?
Well, they want to build 4 units, because if they wanted to build 3, they could build it right now. They're permitted by right as of now.
I see.
So they want to build, we know they want to build 4 or more, but we also know that the lot size only will allow them 4. So really, no, it's a 4-unit complex. They will have to go through the building permit division and get through that, so.
And they understand that it's 4 units, because I don't want it to be in a month, we're coming back and you're asking us to approve for a 6-unit duplex.
Yeah, no, that's 4 units.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Is there any public comment?
I disagree with Commissioner Longoria. People I talk to are trying to find affordable housing, and it's just not available in Brownsville, so anything we can do to help with that.
So why would you disagree?
I do.
Oh, you agree?
I just agree. I just
I was like,
agree.
Pastor?
I agree with you.
And,
I was like,
and
I
that
didn't
is.
disagree. I was like,
that
It's
is
scary
actually
when
a
the
very-
pastor disagrees with you.
It's, that's also a very interesting topic. I mean, if you could get us some more information, maybe you can send us like a little email or something where you inform us, because I've heard that a lot, that we have a lack of housing, and the problem is, you go around and our rental rates are higher than some of these major cities. I mean, and I really don't understand how the market is so skewed, and I don't know if you guys have any reports on this or what's actually going on, but I mean, you look at some of the rents, some of the new apartments, they're at like $800, $900. They're more expensive than San Antonio.
Yeah.
More expensive than
They're
Austin.
actually more than that. If you find one for 800, let me know.
Well, I think, I mean, there's all kind, I just read an article the other day, but I'll send it to you. It was an interesting article as to why the need for rental housing is so big.
And I think I've heard that some of the banks were not getting as many loans nowadays.
Yeah,
and
the
that's
lending
also-
restrictions are very tight,
Credit scores.
and they're requiring 20%. So most people can't come up with 20%, so it forces, generally, that's what's happening.
It's
So
20%
I'll send you that, I'll send you
and
what I got.
640
Please do.
credit score.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And so,
Second?
Motion passes. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Griselda, I'm gonna ask that you read item 8, 9, 10, and 11 together.
Thank you.
Because they're the same.
Okay. Item number 8, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-036 to rezone from General Retail G 4CG to General Retail J for 2.72 acres for Lot 2, Block 1, a Valley Medical Office subdivision located near Expressway 7783 and Laurinelli Drive. Item number 9, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-036S to allow a General Retail J 4CJ in a General Retail G 4CG for 2.72 acres of Block 2, Block 1, a Valley Medical Office subdivision located near Expressway 7783 and Laurinelli Drive, District 3. Item number 10, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-037 to rezone from General Retail G 4CG to General Retail J 4CJ for 2.33 acres of Block 4 and 8 of Media Luna Sugar Mill Spur located near Expressway 7783 and Laurinelli Drive, District 3.
So the lot I outlined in blue, and the lot in red are, these two go together, and there's 4 different applications because there's 2 different properties, 2 different owners. So one of them is to change the letter to a J, which would allow for 4 stories. So the current letter only allows for 3 stories, so this is a 4-story complex. And then the specific use is a way of lowering the parking requirement for this project. And the reason being is this is a housing tax credit project, but it's age restricted. So this is a senior housing tax credit project. And so those are the two things that we're playing with here: the density to four stories, and the need for a reduction in the parking requirement through a specific use. The reduction in the parking requirement is because our ordinance says it's 2 to 1, 2 units per every one, 2 parking spots for every 1 unit. Well, when it's age restricted and it's senior housing, there's an assumption that not everybody's going to have a car. So we're really at about 1.7 to per unit. So that's why they required 4 different applications and 4 different things. So
And these are going to be apartments
they're going to be apartments.
for seniors?
Yes. A good example is behind the Don Johnson dealership on Central. There's some other age-restricted units, and it's my understanding that this application has garnered some good support at the state level, and it actually it's in the running to get the tax credits to do this.
The Amigos del Valle is the one you're referring to, or another one?
No, this is another developer out of Houston.
No, but behind Don Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it was, it might be
Casa.
Amigos del Valle.
Casa 2 or one of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Casa Amigo.
So it is a public hearing, and encourage any comments.
Is there any public comment?
That works better.
That's an awesome system.
P&Z supported unanimously. by the way.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Move to approve?
Second.
Well,
Motion.
8 through 11, right?
8 through 10.
8 through
8
11.
through 11?
Motion 8 through 11.
Oh, okay, because I didn't read 11 into the,
Oh, 11.
okay. Item number 11 is public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-037S to allow a general retail J 4CJ and a general retail G 4CG for 2.33 acres of blocks 4 and 8 of Media Luna Sugar Mill Spur located near Expressway 77, 83, and Laurinelli Drive, District 3.
Okay.
So,
So now the motion's got to be 8 through
Yes,
11.
8 through 11.
approved.
Motion to approve 8 through 11?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Do we have to rescind the original one?
No,
Didn't-
No.
Okay.
I think.
Nobody voted.
Item number 12, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-038CO to rezone from dwelling A DA to a dwelling G DG for 0.14 acres of Lot 14, Block 3 of La Villita, Unit Number 6, located at 1084 Calle Milpa Verde, District 1.
This is a case located on Milpa Verde, as you can see. It is an existing house, an existing building, and they really, I think it's a conversion. So it used to be, if I'm not mistaken, it used to be a tortilleria, and they want to convert it into two units. They couldn't do that with the current zoning, so they had to come and apply for a rezone. Planning and zoning looked at this, they supported, staff supported, and we asked for your support today, and I'll entertain any questions. It is a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Close? Second? Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion
approve.
passes.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
You said that you can read 13, 14.
Item number 13, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-039CO to rezone from dwelling G DG to professional office G 1CGCO for 1.349 acres of lots 20, 22, 23, and 24, Block 29, and lots 1 through 5 of Block 30 of El Naranjal subdivision, number 8, located near Toronja Avenue and Clemente Avenue, District 2. Item number 14, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-040CO to rezone from dwelling G DG to professional office G 1CGCO for 0.149 acres of Lot 21, Block 29 of El Naranjal subdivision, number 8, located near Toronja Avenue and Clemente Avenue, District Number 2.
So the two cases, 13 and 14, it included this entire subdivision. It had to be broken up because one lot was a different owner, and all the other owners are all the other lots are still under the original owner. At the time, this subdivision was envisioned to be a duplex subdivision, so the lots were developed to do duplexes. They were restricted on the plat for duplexes, but the owners never changed the zoning. So we worked with the owner. They applied for the rezone, and this is it's before you tonight. P&Z approved it unanimously, and staff supported it. So we ask for your support tonight. It is a public hearing.
Do we have any public comment?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
To approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 15, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-041S to allow apartments AA in a dwelling ADA for 0.255 acres of Lot 3, Block R of Brownsville Land and Improvement Company subdivision located at 115 Lindsay Lane, District 4.
This is a case located on Lindsay Lane off of Honeydale. The applicant came in and wanted to build a unit. We encouraged him to apply for a specific use for a garage apartment. We worked with him. The house currently doesn't have a garage, and so we felt that a garage apartment fit better in this neighborhood because it is a single-family neighborhood, and garage apartments historically were used in the older neighborhoods. So as you can see, this is the proposal for a garage apartment on this property. Planning and Zoning saw this, they supported it unanimously, and we support it as well. So,
Is that like a separate structure?
it is a separate structure. They do have a carport, but they wanted a garage. So, so we thought it was a good idea. P&Z thought it was a good idea, and
Like a two-story, a car underneath and.
a car underneath and an apartment up top. So a lot of cities are moving to this. They're calling it accessory use dwellings, and they're seen in all the older neighborhoods, even some in Brownsville. And it's a good way to add affordable housing to a city. So one of the things we're looking at with amending our zoning code is trying to encourage some of these things again. It's not really,
Is there public comment?
Motion to close.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Move to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 16, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-043-S to allow a duplex in a dwelling G for .1778 acres of Lot 13, Blocks 2 of Mano and Mano Phase Number 2, located near Mano Drive and FM 802, District Number 4.
there is a mistake. FM 802, it should be Alton Glore. But this is a specific use for a duplex on Mano Drive. There's another case further up on Mano Drive. There are some duplexes in the area, in fact, adjacent to this area. And so we saw the application, staff supported, P&Z supported as well, and we ask for your support tonight. It is a public hearing. As you can see, this is a specific use, so this is the site plan. There is plenty of green space in the back, and we feel it's a good use of the lot.
Is there any public comment? Motion to close public comment?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 17, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-045-S to allow apartments GAG in a dwelling G, DG for 0.4855 acres of Lot 27, Block 1 of Portway Acres subdivision located at 65 Cena Drive, District Number 2.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, every now and then we get a specific use that they decide to change the layout of where the units are located. Specific uses under our current ordinance, they have to come back through the approval process. We are working to amend that ordinance so that for minor amendments, we can handle it at the administrative level. But for now, we're going through the process. So this is something that's been before you. You've approved it before. They really just decided to locate change the location on the property of these units. We feel we supported it back then, we supported it now. It's just literally just a map change or a site change. So we ask for your approval tonight.
Is there any public comment? Motion to close public comment?
Second.
Wait,
There's-
did I, sorry.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 18, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-047-CO to rezone from dwelling Z, DC to apartments H, AH for 4.62 acres of blocks 3 and 4 of Renfro subdivision located at 950 West FM 802, District Number 4.
This is a property located on 802 and close to Laredo, just right off the intersection, right before then. This is a proposal for 70 apartment units in this area. And so it allows more when you change it from a Z to an H, it allows for more units, according to the calculation. But we worked with the owner, and he said, I really only, I think 70 is good enough for this amount of property. I think it would allow up to like 100 or 125 under the current zoning. Not that it could fit, but either way, we're lowering the amount of permitted, working with the owner, or with the potential owner. So the proposal is for 70 units, and this is zoning change. P&Z looked at it, they recommended approval, and staff also recommended approval. It is my understanding that there are some, I don't know if their neighbors are here, but that there was some opposition to planning and zoning, but they passed it.
Ramiro, could
inside.
you go to the slide that shows what's in the surrounding area, the identified?
That one? Or
No, that
that one.
the one with the blue
Oh, okay.
cloud.
So you see, there's actually a house back there. It's a vacant piece of property, and there's a buffer between the rear part of this property, the Resaca, and then the single-family neighborhood across the Resaca. So it is a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Bernardo La Garza. I live directly across the Resaca. I don't know if you could go to that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. There we go. That one's fine. Okay. So we live directly right here. That is our area. The distance between the Resaca to where this property ends to where our land is actually a very, very small amount of land in terms of the Resaca size. And also that Resaca is about ankle deep, or at the deepest point, it's probably about knee deep. So one of the concerns that we really have in terms of our location is this aspect of privacy. With the building of 70 units, especially that the surrounding area, there really is no other structures that are very similar to it. The only thing that would potentially be apartments, I guess, would be these here that already are apartments, but then something like 70 units sounds a tad bit excessive to us, especially in the case that everything else surrounding that area is solely just family units. This is strictly a residential area. The reason that we selected to live in the neighborhood and everybody else who lives in that neighborhood was for the privacy, for the quaintness. It's always been one of these areas that's always been very well preserved and protected. And then for us to now have an intrusion of that potential sort seems a little bit excessive for us. So in terms of privacy as well, the beauty of that area is having the Resaca and looking across. Also seeing the natural wildlife that exists around there is always very beneficial. Like Ramiro did mention, there was opposition at the zoning commission meeting, and I wrote a letter of protest. Our neighbors wrote letters of protest, and we did collect over 29 signatures from individuals from the surrounding area who were primarily affected by this.
Doctor, and you live across
Correct.
from the Resaca. You
Correct.
do realize that months ago, we did have a similar discussion with an item, and it is going to be built a couple of 100 feet away from there, okay, where there is that subdivision where Rick, Cosa del Sol, and they have a Resaca, and then there's going to be a development built
over here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's going to be a development built there. Just to let you know, I mean, in other words, after discussion, after sitting down, we came to an agreement. So potentially, we're going to hear out the case.
Sure.
And then potentially, we might, just ask you all to do the same thing.
Sure. I mean,
you got to understand, we do understand. And as a citizen, trust me that we do take your opinion into account.
Sure.
But realize that, as you've heard before, we're having trouble in the city.
Sure.
With people finding homes.
Absolutely.
And we're also caught with that. And also do realize that our job as elected officials, you elect us, but also as the job that we have up here, in order to keep your property taxes low, we need to have these kinds of developments come in. That particular tract, like I mentioned to Mr. Aldo, because I had met with him over the issue, that produces nothing for us in taxes.
Sure.
If you put something in there, it's going to produce more. It's going to produce more into the city coffer, and thus, providing in the future. But please, we will hear you out, and we are going to hear out everything that you do have to say.
I appreciate that. And to be honest, I mean, I'm not for forward progress. I'm definitely not against it. But I think there's appropriate forward progress, and then I think there's backtracking in some aspects. And I think in this particular case, especially since this area has always had a historic, aspect associated with it being residential, and then all of a sudden to have that kind of aspect come in, or this kind of proposition, to us it seems a little bit excessive and almost as an intrusion. I mean, if it was something that would be similar to other locales that may already be in the area, that would be, higher end, that may potentially allow us to can maintain privacy as well, to allow that natural beauty of that area as well, also make sure that the natural wildlife of that area is maintained as well. That's very important to us. If that were to be something that we could then later discuss, potentially based on your review, we would understand. But at the same time, I think based on what the current proposal is, or what our understanding is of it being 70 apartments and all the way up to that border, for us is a little bit too much of an intrusion for us as individuals, and then us also as a neighborhood. In that particular case. Thank you.
I just wanted to share with the commission that I did meet with this group that's here, and some other neighbors in the area, and even though they live across from the Resaca divides them, they still know each other. They're concerned with apartments. You never know who lives there, who moves in, who moves out. So I did speak with a lot of the people in Deer Haven Court and over here on this side of the Resaca. I know people have jobs and commitments and they can't make it. So this isn't representative of the people who are concerned, or the number of people who are concerned.
Absolutely. And like I say, we did go around and did collect over 29 signatures from individuals in our neighborhood, primarily of the individuals who are affected or who were circled in the original zoning issue. And we did collect their signatures. And a lot more of us were here at the original zoning meeting. Thank you.
My name is Aldo Zamora. I live right next to this proposed property. I invested all my life savings in it. As you can see, it's the same size as what they're trying to rezone. And I just moved in there in November. So my knees are shaking right now, me and my family. I don't oppose progress because I'm a builder. That's what I do. And I understand the need for housing. My only concern, my main concern would be the safety of my family. And that's why we moved there. That's why we made such a big investment. And going back to your comment, Rick, about that zoning on the other side, I think they're going to do, which is this one. Let me see, where's that thing? I think over here they're doing like condos, which are going to be owner occupied. And that's really our concern. We're all for progress. As a matter of fact, in the Planning and Zoning Commission, the same people that own this lot tried to make this commercial, and I'm trying to make my own piece commercial, and I think we're gonna move towards that, you know, and we're not opposed to that, but having 70 units in this area, this is where we live. This is my master bedroom right there. So, you know, building 70 units would and definitely mean having a 2-story building close to our side yard and close to our bedroom. So we're not, you know, against progress. That would mean something that is definitely not, but I'm going against how it's that gonna affect my investment, the safety of my family. That's my main concern.
Let me ask you, sir, we zone it commercial like you want, and there's a bar there.
Yeah,
How would that affect the safety of
The
your
thing
family?
is, I'm talking to my neighbors to see what we can all, you know, agree on, and definitely I wouldn't put a bar in front of my house. But I'm gonna be in control of that, together with my neighbors, and that's the whole deal here. It's not that I'm opposing it, you know, we're just trying to move forward on something that doesn't affect us as much.
It's, we were here about a month ago, and it was the other way around. There was a group of neighbors that wanted to rezone an area in Ruben Torres to commercial.
Okay.
And a lot of the neighbors didn't want it. There was one neighbor stuck in the middle, and he's like, I've already built my house, I don't want to rezone it. I mean, all the other neighbors came in, they're like, we want to rezone, we want to make commercial. So I mean, I just find it a little interesting that, well, you want to make the front part commercial, but you don't want the other part. So I mean.
If it were
it's,
commercial, the other part, just put yourself in my shoes. If you were to live there, would you rather have commercial or 70 units next to your house?
Well, sir, I have a bunch of neighbors, and I live in a condominium. So
Okay.
let me tell you, sir, when we talk about privacy, they're building literally in front of my apartment. So my parking space is being used up by subcontractors who I honestly don't even know where they're coming from.
Okay.
So I mean,
So
it's
you
just,
you understand where we're coming from?
I
as
do
far
understand where
as far as
you're coming from.
privacy. And I think the case that you mentioned was in Alton Glore, and that was right on the frontage, and ours is towards the back. So that I think that should make a difference. And just for your consideration and for you all's consideration. So, well, thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.
My concern as well is, if you look at that whole lot, it's super green, which means if you're gonna build 70 apartments, that means all that green is gonna go away. All of it, completely, all the way till the end of that resaca. Right now, it houses ocelots, we have chachalacas, we have parrots, we have all these native animals, but not only do we have native animals that all the neighbors take care of, and we make sure that we even feed them. We have 4 neighbors directly that we buy food just for them, but we also have from September to January, we have the Canadian ducks as well as the pelicans that come and reside in that area, and they have been doing that for 20 years. And they basically live in that area. And we know that, yes, eventually that area will get developed. We understand that it's never gonna stay that green, but whoever owns it, we would like not 70 apartments, but maybe less, and some of that greenery to stay, because it is an area that is so beautiful, and we have all these native animals, and you know, it would be just drastic for all of us that have been taking care of it and feeding all of them and making sure we have where, you know, please be careful for the ducks, and you know, we always, all the neighbors, and we're talking the neighborhood, Quail Hollow and us, which is, you know, Hunter's Ridge, as well as the people in the front, we all take care of it, and you know, we own this property and we take pride of it. But as an apartment person, not necessarily owning the apartment, but renting it, some people just stay there 3 months, 4 months, you know, we don't know who comes in and who comes out. I'm afraid that they won't necessarily love as much as people who, you know, invest in that area. So I would just want you guys to consider it not only as part of safety, but privacy, but also nature. And how many lots like that are there in Bronzeville still? So sad to have that disappear.
Let me tell you what I told the doctors on Owens Road. Okay, they had a similar issue. One of the doctors didn't want apartments being built in front of his house. I told him, I said, so buy it. And he did.
I would buy it.
Yeah.
If I had $500,000, we would not even be discussing this, because they don't even own it. The people who want to build the 70, you know, it's not just one investor, it's several investors. If I could get together and own that property, I wouldn't be here. But unfortunately, I just bought. I have 2 dental offices, my money is in there, so.
Ramiro, Let me ask
If
you
you
a
need a
question.
couple crowns or some implants, honey, maybe I can buy it.
Yes, sir.
I don't.
It doesn't strike me as a section apartment, is it? They're not going out for credits, they're not, in other words, if they were to secure, let's just say that we were to approve and that they secure, it doesn't strike me as a zone or as an area where the owner's gonna go out and put section housing in there, is there?
I mean, no. I mean, the case before you is obviously a zoning case. We really don't know whether it's section or whatever they do after you approve the zoning. You know, these guys could turn around and sell it to a tax credit developer, and there you go, right? So at this point, the current people that are applying for the rezone, it doesn't seem like it will be any type of affordable housing, or it'll be market rate housing or apartments. So that's. But you know, once you approve the zoning, you really can't control that. So that's.
I don't find it a fair argument, and I see both sides of this, but I don't like it when somebody says, oh, you know, people who live in apartments, high crime, because I know a lot of people that live in apartments and their families who are honest and good people. Like, just because you have an apartment complex doesn't mean they're bad people. And so I really don't like it when that's said. But I do understand that 70 apartments is a lot of traffic. You have foot traffic, you have all kinds of things. But were you gonna say something?
No.
Yeah, if I could.
Oh, sorry.
And we're not specifying that apartments are going to bring in criminals. We're definitely not doing that. I lived in apartments for many, many years, and I don't think I'm a criminal. But what we are saying is the safety for our children. Not knowing who is there, who is potentially looking at your home, who is looking at your children who play in your backyard. That's the concern that we have. And then also the other major concern that we have is, like you say, the big foot traffic that's going to be going through. A lot of vehicles are going to be coming through in that area as well. You know, we've already seen with the expansion of Morrison Road opening up that traffic has just drastically increased already through Laredo Road. In our street specifically, we've already had, since we've moved in, I think just in the last 6 months, we've had 2 or 3 times that we've had to call the police because of graffiti that's been posted in our neighborhood on all the houses. Our brand new neighbors who just moved in at the corner of the house, their house got broken in a week after moving in. So a lot of things like that, and we feel that unfortunately with now allowing more individuals to be able to come in, like you say, with 70 units, that's quite excessive. That's just going to potentially increase the probability of things happening. And then also just bringing to light, just making sure that and I think I just want clarification of this, that the people who are applying for this rezoning, they do not own it, correct?
Do we know that, Ramiro?
They do not own it.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, there is an interested party wanting to buy it, and they need the zoning in order to buy it. They're trying to secure the zoning to purchase this property.
Just wanted to make sure I was clear on that as well.
So I think 70 is a lot as well. I hear what you're saying. I do see both sides of it. But I do think 70 is quite a bit.
I mean, we can go back and talk.
Would you like to?
I agree with Commissioner Gowan. I just think it's a very high number, but I don't like the argument, oh, it's apartments, I don't want to buy my house. They're bad people. I don't like that argument.
Commissioners, my name is Eliseo Davila, and I'm involved with this project, and I wanted to give some insight. When we requested the 70 units, it's because we're still uncertain what we want to do. However, what we are certain what we want to do is we're not going to be landlords. We are buying, we're potentially trying to buy, if this is allowed, and we're going to build property similar to this one right here.
The appendage there.
Similar to this one right here. And we are going to sell to individual owners, which will be property owners. And I can understand, and I feel I can totally understand the inconvenience of having, people building across the Resaca from me. I wish I didn't. I live in Del Hollow, and I'm not opposed to this. I wish nobody lived across the Resaca from me, but it's just part of life. Sometimes people are going to build around you. Another thing is, we don't own the property right now. A 94-year-old lady, Mrs. Palfy, owns the land. We're engaged in contract with her right now. If we're allowed to convert this into condos like this so we can resell, we don't have the money to carry the loan to be landlords. We have to buy, sell, and then sell the project out. So we're not going to keep them. They're not going to be apartments. They are going to be as affordable housing in an area that's nice. It's a nice area. And I'm concerned about, just like you're concerned with your children, I'm concerned about the children that live in Cameron Park or maybe in the Las Prietas area that would have an opportunity to bring their children to a safer environment, to a cleaner environment, and raise the price. Right now, she's paying $400 a year in taxes. With this project completed, we're going to be paying about $90,000 a year in taxes to help fund the city. And if this project doesn't go through, the property's been for sale for 2 years, 2.5 years. No one's bought it. She's trying to sell so that she can get the money to move to California and die in peace with her family. If this project doesn't go through, we're not going to buy it, and she'll probably die there.
So you said, first you said they were going to be condos, but then you said apartments. So which is it
Well,
going to be?
what we want to do is condos. The way the format is situated, the way the city has it requested, we have to request for apartments because it covers the broad basis of everything. We're not going to be landlords. Like I said, we're not going to carry a note and just rent out. We need to turn over money. So our intention is to build homes like the Villa Group, Alhambra, that's on Laredo Road, and sell the condos to individuals.
But the zoning change, correct me if I'm wrong, the zoning change does not specify that.
Yeah,
It could go either way.
I mean, the apartment category, apartments can take many shapes. They can be in the shape of a townhome. It's all about design at that point.
But
It
I
could
mean,
be-
as far as owning it or renting it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the zoning does it, it's allowing apartments and 70 units at this point, 70 units. What those units look like, how they're laid out, that's not before you today. They can go and they can build, one big building with 70 units and like a condo in New York or something, they just buy the condo or at the island. So yes, they could technically, they do that.
You can imagine what we're going to build because we know what the people want. It's like you can imagine what people want. They want to live like condo environment, but have a resaca with a nice area where they can take their kids to play there, maybe barbecue, maybe have an area, a common area for the dogs, but they would all be individual owners.
Mr. Davila, for the record, because I need it for the record, you're not going to have to provide Section 8 or 11 housing?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would you be willing, if approved, would you be willing, when it comes time to build, would you be willing to give a specific use, provide the safeguards, provide the fencing by the resaca,
Yeah.
provide the greenery,
We can't pay the architect until we know we got this.
Of course,
Once we have the design, then we're going to have one of the good architects in town that you guys probably know. We'll put together the piece and we can present that, and then you guys could approve that.
Similar to what we went to with Rick and his gang and the investors in the front. Have you
But it's
said-
not going to be cheap. This
No,
is
I'm
going to
not
look good.
Have you been in conversation with with the neighbors?
No, I didn't think anybody would have a problem with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's because they didn't have a problem with this, or I understand they have a problem with it because it's inconvenient.
Well, I think it's bigger than that. I mean, 29 people took the time to sign. I think it's bigger than
There's about
inconvenience.
3,000 that live in that area.
Well, I think
And
for
like I
me,
said, I
and I'm
live in
sorry to
there.
interrupt you.
It doesn't bother me.
I'm not sure that
I'm
was
used
an
to it. I'm
interruption.
kidding.
Oh, yeah,
I'm kidding.
right.
I'm kidding.
I guess what I'm gonna say, if I was living on the other side of the Resaca, and I liked the environment of living on the Resaca, I do personally live on a Resaca, I like that. I like seeing the birds and the ducks and all that stuff that this woman discussed. But it would really depend on the density of how many people would live there and what your design would be. If there's going to be a buffer green area on the Resaca where people can, let me finish, where people can go out and barbecue and walk their dog. And so when these folks are looking across the Resaca, they're not seeing cars and people, they're seeing green space. then that's one thing. But I know you don't have your design yet, but I think it really comes down to how many people would live there, whether they would be owners or renters, and what would the property actually, how would it be designed? Would it be cognizant of the privacy that those folks bought their homes for?
Also, the city forester is not going to allow us just to do whatever we want. I mean, we
No,
have to
but
follow
he's
some
not
of
going
the
to tell you how to design it. He's going to tell you, correct me if I'm wrong, how many trees need to be there and stuff like that. But it's all about
We have to follow
design.
within the guidelines of the city.
Mr. Davila, I want to work with you. I want to work with them. Okay? May I suggest that y'all sit down and talk and come back to us in the first meeting of July? In other words, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, I
In other words,
understand.
if you're looking at it right now, you're going to get denied. Okay? And I know that you're Brownsville. You're a Brownsville man. And, you know, we don't want to lose your business. But similar to the other project, if I can ask you to please go back, set up a meeting with these folks, sit down and talk to them, and come back to us. We'll table right now, come back to us in the first meeting in July, see what y'all came up with, and try to work something out. We can do that for you, and who knows? You know, you come back to us in the first meeting in July, and you'll get approved. You know, but you can roll the dice right now and probably get denied. I want to help you. So what I'm getting at is, if you'd be willing to sit down with these folks and talk to them a little bit more about what your project is about. I like your idea about the villas. I like the fact that you're going to give it to them as a condo where they're going to be buying instead of renting, you know, and it's a matter of just sitting down and having dialogue with these people. Can you do that for us?
Are you interested in doing that?
I am not the only person involved in this, and there's other money and other people involved in the project. I don't know if they're going to be willing to do that. I mean, I will, because I'm a small-time investor, but I don't know if other people are going to say, well, we're going to move on to the project in Harlingen or McAllen.
We get that every meeting. You know, it's like we get that. We're going to take it to McAllen. Hey, all right. You know, but what I'm getting,
which is concerning eventually.
Yeah.
You know, it concerns
Yeah.
everything. Harlingen, McAllen, well, yeah.
I would
it is
encourage,
concerning.
Commissioner, I would encourage that we could work with the owners and maybe talk about a green buffer along the Resaca. We've done it in the past.
We did that, exactly.
We did it with
On
the
the
Laredo.
other, over by Lake.
So
Lakeway?
I
Yes.
would
and it
encourage
happened,
that.
and it's happening.
I hope I can.
In other words, what I'm asking,
If it was
I don't.
If it was my project solely, I would say absolutely.
I know you're involved in a group, but that group has to understand that, you know what, that group can lose tonight, and most unfortunately, all of us lose out. Trust me. Me personally,
I get it.
me personally, I want that project. If you're telling me that it's going to be condos, if you're telling me, my vote would be to approve it, but I'm just one of 7. Okay. Now, could you go back and talk to your group of investors and come back to us in the first meeting of July, set up a meeting with these folks, sit down and talk to them, and work something out? All they're asking you for is a buffer, as of right now. Right now, what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing from them is give me a buffer. Bro, give me a buffer, and you've got your project. It looks like a winner to me.
I'm pretty sure that I can negotiate what we're talking about, 20 days? Yeah.
July 6th.
July 6th, yeah.
July 6th, less than 20 days? Okay, yeah.
5th, sorry, July 5th.
July 5th?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that I can extend another thing is I have to extend the contract. And hope Mrs. Palfi will accept that.
I think she will.
She's waited this long.
Yeah, she's waited this long, I think she will.
And that's not very far, it's only 2 weeks. And I'm pretty sure we can even put something on paper to kind of design that.
At least sit down with them and see what their concerns are.
The other group waited 2 months. So 20 days versus 2 months, you know.
And we can encourage that dialogue.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and do that and we'll see you on July 5th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I move to table.
Second.
We'll move to close public hearing.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Move to table.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those opposed? I mean, all those in favor, I'm sorry. All those in
Turn to
favor? All those opposed? Motion passes.
And let me ask you, Ramiro, and if, council, if I get off track, just correct me, sir. But, I mean, really, Ramiro, we're here every meeting, and we're just rezoning, and it's all these really, I mean, it gets tiring after a while, because really, it's always all these competing interests. And my question is, it's like, don't we have like a zoning map? Haven't we, why are we now facing all these issues? I mean, really, are we growing? Are we not growing? I mean, what is really the root cause? How come we're rezoning everything constantly? How come we don't, do we have like a general plan for the next 20 years that we could actually tell people, look, this is what we're zoning, and that we won't be stuck where we're trying to rezone as a, we're basically patching up. We're doing this piecemeal. And honestly, I don't know if that's the best way to do it. Because, I mean, it's just.
Yeah. So a little bit, I mean, you've seen it in other, we didn't bring it before this item, but, you know, slowly we're trying to clean up the map. And you saw it when we did the case with Morrison, and so we're slowly, as we can, we're trying to identify those areas that have these issues and come in and do a city-initiated zoning, so that we don't run into these issues. So yes, it is a little bit of playing catch-up, and it is a little bit of, you know, we're not moving fast enough, and there's always people wanting to do business. So yes, we do see a lot of cases here.
Which is very interesting that they want to do business, considering you just heard it from somebody else, the tax rate, these impact fees. I mean, we make it almost impossible. And then, I mean, they're trying to do something, and we just make it horrendously impossible for people to do anything. We've heard it, we need housing. Maybe this isn't the type of housing we would need. Maybe we need other type of housing. I really don't know the market, but I can tell you that I don't know what the underlying root of the problem is, but I think there's a problem. And I really don't know how to approach it. I haven't wrapped my mind around it, but every other meeting, we're having these issues. I mean, we don't have development. The little development that we have, I mean, we just make it impossible, and it gets very tiring. And it gets tiring for our citizens. It gets tiring for the investor groups. So really, we need to find a solution to this.
So I have a comment. I've been here quite a few years, and this is not unusual. This whole zoning changes, and I'm sure Commissioner Longoria would agree with me. He's been here longer than me. This is not a recent thing. That doesn't make it right, but it's not recent, is what I'm saying. And I think part of the issue, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are the experts, is that zoning trends and best practices everywhere have changed over the years. So whereas the zoning trends and what was considered best practices 50 years ago is no longer considered best practices. So all the zoning that existed on top of each other over all the years, now they're trying to unravel. And a few years ago, we looked at moving to a unified development code, which is the most modern and most logical form of zoning that many cities have moved to. But to move what we have now to a unified development code is very expensive. So they're doing it little by little so that we don't have to go out for a lot of money to be able to do it all at once.
And I can tell you, Commissioner, we're working very diligently on trying to, for the first time in the 7 years that I've been here, we have a fully staffed planning department. Other times it was 3 people, it was 2 people, it was me. So we are moving forward. We're moving to make all these amendments, all these changes. There's a lot of moving pieces to it, but I think you're going to start seeing consistently changes in our code like we did today on your meetings. And once we get through that, I think you're gonna see the results. That there's a lot less. There's other changes that we can do. We can discuss later. But I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised once we start going through all this, these changes.
And if I may add, I have heard that Michael Lopez, with his new position, is streamlining a lot of these efforts so that we can move into the next.
That's exactly what we're doing, Commissioner. And you're going to get a lot of these heartaches as we clean up. You know, that's the first thing. It's a storm before you get to the smooth. And so what we're going through them, and also we also look at is it's the individual that bought it. You hear many individuals, they bought it to build a house. And then all of a sudden, they don't want to live there anymore. And so they're moving on. And then they're bringing it back and saying, now I want to sell it because why? There's developers that want to buy it. They don't want to, some people don't want to live in the nice big area with the bugs. They want an apartment now. So that's what we're finding too, is a lot of individuals are starting to sell, they're gray out, right? They're starting to gray out and looking at the property saying, I don't want to live there anymore. Let's sell it to a developer. because other people aren't buying. So that's what you're going to see, a lot of that stuff. So I ask for patience amongst the commissioners as we move forward with this.
And for the record, thank you so much, Michael, for what you're doing. And yes, they have been streamlining it, and really it's for a one-stop shop.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's almost impossible to open a business. We want to streamline it, and that's what Mr. Lopez has been working on.
Trust me, I know.
Perhaps you could send us a little, Ramiro and Michael, perhaps you could send us a little bit on the Unified Development Code so that we can all be reminded and understand what you're trying to move towards and why.
And we are, the impact fees, we are working on adjusting those. We're working on adjusting our zoning fees so they can be more friendly. So anyways, there's a lot of things that'll come out. Item 19.
Item number 19, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-048S to allow apartments GAG in a general retail G 4CG Lot 2, Block 7 of the Preserve of Forest North subdivision located at 5505 Sleepy Hollow, District Number 3.
Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, this is a case that you've seen before. You've approved, once again, like the other case. It's along Sleepy Hollow right off Alton Glore. And like the other case, it's been approved. There's been a site change to this, and we are recommending approval. Planning and Zoning recommends approval. And just so you know, in the end of July, like I said, we're going to make an ordinance change so that we can take care of these minor amendments without coming back through the process. So we feel that that's going to avoid a lot of these issues. And so it is a public hearing. We do ask for your approval tonight.
Is there any public comment?
Move to close?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 20, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016.
Still need to vote, didn't we?
We need to take action
Oh, sorry.
on 19, right?
Yes.
Move to approve?
Sorry.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 20, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-049 to rezone from dwelling G, DG to general retail G, 4CG for .6143 acres of lot number 2, block 1 of Mano and Mano subdivision located near Mano Drive and FM 802, District Number 4.
Commissioner, as you can see, this is a property along West Alton Glore. The property further to the one that was here 2 meetings ago is further east of this. So we asked for P&Z looked at this, and as you can see, it's on Alton Glore, commercial, and we asked for your approval tonight on this. P&Z looked at this. They recommended unanimously to approve, and it is a public hearing.
Is there a public comment?
Close public hearing? Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Move to approve? Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 21, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-051 to rezone from dwelling A, DA to general retail G, 4CG for Lot 1, Block 1 of Crystal Subdivision located at 135 Ruben Torres West Boulevard, District Number 4.
Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, this is east of, well, just west of McAllen Road and east of the railroad tracks, the old railroad tracks. This is a case that they're requesting fourth commercial, and the Planning and Zoning Commission looked at this. They recommended approval. We recommended approval for this. As you can see, there's some apartments and a commercial on the corner, and we feel that 4CG is a good category for this property. It is a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Move to close?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Move to approve?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 22, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-052CO to rezone from dwelling A, DA to light commercial G, 5CG for 0.5142 acres of Block A of Acacia Lake Garden subdivision located at 3185 Southmost Road, District Number 1.
You're also starting to see some of these pop up, and you've seen a couple throughout. It's an existing business. They didn't have the zoning for whatever reason. We don't know, and so they like to continue. I think they're trying to improve the business, and they need the 5th commercial category to do what they need to do. So we encourage. There's other 5th commercial categories along Southmost. We recommended approval. We did put a CO on it with there's no access to Sylvia Street, and that the ingress egress easement should be off Southmost. So
Can we see the picture?
there's a little protection.
The street view? Can you zoom in?
That picture? Or
Also, the old Osama building?
I'm assuming so.
And I think the business name is there in the little sign.
So you can see that there's a potential to have some sort of access through the back here. So that's why we're saying if there's ever any improvements, we don't want commercial access through a residential neighborhood.
Is there any public comment?
Close? Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Are they gonna keep my opponent's sign on there?
Are you gonna deny it because of that?
Oh, is it that old?
That's Google. It's Google Earth, so they don't update it that much often.
Okay. Would approve? Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 23, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2016-053 to rezone from dwelling A DA to dwelling G DG for Lot 16, Section 3 of Linda Vista subdivision located at 400 Linda Lane, District Number 1.
This is another case where they're trying to add an additional unit to an existing property. It's currently zoned dwelling A. They need dwelling G to really add that additional unit. And I think you're starting to see a lot of this because of the affordability issue, right? Or millennials trying to stick around with their parents longer, and their parents want to build another unit on the property. So we recommended, P&Z recommended, and we asked for your approval tonight. I'll entertain any questions. It is a public hearing.
Is there any public comment?
Motion to close public?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
Item number 24, public comment period.
We need
We
the
have
action.
no.
Motion to
Oh,
approve.
I'm sorry.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Mayor Pro Tem, there are no public comments. So we'll proceed with item number 25, the action items, consideration and possible action regarding the city commission meetings for the remaining of the year.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, just wanted to update that we're requesting action for special meetings that we added August 30th, September 12th, and 13th. The August 30th meeting is for tax rate and tax increase public hearing, and September 12th and 13th is for the tax levy. So I'd ask that we can remove and approve for the special meetings, and also you can look at the remaining meetings to see if there's any changes you want to do at this time.
I thought we usually got the month of July off.
I did too, but you told me that we have to have one, so.
According to the charter, there does have to be one meeting a month.
I would like to suggest, if I may, that we have the first one in July, but not the second one.
It's a motion. You would make a motion to approve.
Do we have items already being prepared through City Secretary for the July 19th meeting?
As of July 19th, we have not received anything of an office for procedure. As for departments, there's some departments that do have some in the works, as maybe a second reading, a public hearing, or some rezoning ordinances that may come in for the July 19th.
And if we cancel that meeting, obviously anybody who has any business coming before us will be advised?
Yes, we will make an announcement that that second meeting will be canceled, if that's the wish of the commission. So the motion would be, to accept the special meetings, and then if you want to add the second of canceling meeting, it'd be depending on the commission's wishes.
You want to make that motion?
I would second that motion.
Is there a motion?
Yes.
What was the motion?
Can we say the motion?
Whatever you said.
The motion is to have one meeting July 5th
The motion-
and not to have the July 19th meeting.
And
So
accept
moved.
the other,
And accept the
accept
special
the
meetings.
other dates.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion passes. Thank you, Commissioners. Mayor.
Thank you.
Motion passed.
How come, sir?
Action item number 26, consideration and action to approve an interlocal agreement between the Brownsville Public Utilities Board and the City of Brownsville in which the Brownsville PUB will make the required funds available to the city for payment to the United States Army Corps of Engineers as may be needed for the local share of the cost of the Resaca Boulevard Resaca Continuing Authority Program.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, City Commissioners, this item, similar item, was presented in April of 2015. Basically, on this one, Brownsville PUB is collaborating with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on a new Resaca project. The total cost of this project is estimated to be about $3.5 million, with PUB's local matching contributions of 35% or $1.2 million. Finance staff recommends this approval as this will not require city participation, and it doesn't affect the general fund, the cash transfer.
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
We've already voted on number 27 and 28, so we'll go on to number 29, consideration and action to approve resolution number 2016-033, supporting an application to the Flood Protection Grant opportunity through the Texas Water Development Board.
Hi, good evening, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and City Commissioners. I'd like to introduce Patrick Hubbard, grant writer for the Office of Grant Management and Community Development, and he will be presenting the action item.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, City Commission, can you hear me? Sometimes I have to squat. This resolution expresses support for our application to the Texas Water Development Board Protection Grants Program for improvements to the Hope Park Pump House. This pump house is located adjacent to the intersection of Sam Pearl Boulevard and Front and Street. Through the completion of this project, the threat of loss of property and life due to flooding will be greatly reduced in the immediate area of the project. We are required to provide a one-to-one match for this grant. However, it's been confirmed by the Texas Water Development Board that a proposed CDGB funding for the project, the same project, can be used as a match for this grant. So I'm open to any questions you might have at this time.
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Action item number 30, consideration and action on resolution number 2016-034 to approve a grant application to the Automobile Burglary and Theft Prevention Authority and to accept the terms and conditions of said grant.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Commission, this is the Automobile Burglary Theft Prevention Authority. We've been with it since 1991. What's that done for us? Our city manager was actually one of the starters of it. It fights auto theft. To give you an example, last month we had 11 cars stolen in Brownsville. I was a young sergeant, 94 through 96, in this task force, and we'd have 13 over a weekend. We'd have 60 to 80 cars stolen a month. Anyway, we got a pretty good handle on it, and we've been with it for 25 years now. What this actually does is it provides for 80% of a lieutenant's salary, 80% of a sergeant's salary, 80% of 5 investigators. Now, although we budget for it, we work with the finance director, and that extra money kind of helps if there's a department that might need that extra money, even though we still have to budget for it, a lieutenant and sergeant, but we have that money available for anybody in the city, and we think it's a good deal. This is a resolution that has to be approved by you and an action item so we can apply for the grant. And I was working with the finance director. We think it's close to $1 million basically, but we need your authority to apply.
Motion to approve. Second. Wait.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 31, consideration and action authorizing purchase of one large Type 3 light-duty cutaway bus to be used for the Metro Connect Blue Line service.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Commissioners.
The B Metro Department has been worked with National Bus Sales and Leasing, Inc., a Tex Mass vendor under contract number TXMAS 072-A1 for the purchase and delivery of one new Gavel bus Type 3 to be utilized in our MetroConnect Blue Line route for a total amount of $83,729.74. This procurement reflects Texas Smart Buy contract pricing, and all funding is in place as indicated on the attached document. Staff recommends approval.
What is a cutaway bus?
It's the smaller buses that,
Like the orange ones?
yes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 32, consideration and action to approve service agreement for payment processing services to the City of Brownsville Municipal Court by vendor Municipal Services Bureau.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Commissioners. I know it's a been long meeting, so I'm gonna be as brief as possible, okay? So tonight I'm here to ask for your approval for a payment processing services agreement for the municipal court. This agreement will now allow us to provide 24-hour access to our constituents to pay their court fines online in their mobile device and with a toll-free number with live operators. We have followed all procurement process, and after review committee evaluated all vendors, they suggested MSB to be the best company that fits our needs. And I'm more happy to entertain any questions you might have.
How do they charge us? Is it based on a percentage?
It's based on a convenience fee, and actually was the lower vendor that it was able to offer a convenience fee because it's an international company. So they were able to offer a 2.39 percentage that is going to be charged to a convenience fee, which is way less than we're charging.
And who were the other bidders?
Traffic Payment and Forte Company.
Mr. Vice, if I may ask.
Yes, Commissioner.
So if they just decide to go down to, City Plaza, they won't be charged at 2.33%, right? This is only if they do it online or on their smartphone?
And that's correct. If they use the debit card and credit card, right now we're probably gonna have to see that part if they're gonna pay that window. Maybe we can use a merchant fee instead of a convenience fee. But remember, this is for convenience to actually use your debit card and credit card. Of course, if you pay cash, you're not gonna pay anything. And also, we're looking for have kiosks in the future, so we're gonna have more access to our citizens throughout the city.
So, once again, just for clarification, if I get a citation, I can pay for it, and I pay with my debit card, am I gonna be charged?
Yes.
See, I don't like that. I got that at the county. Every time I go to the county, I go pay for something, I have to take, and.
Nobody carries cash.
Yeah, well, nobody carries cash anymore, and they don't want to take my checks, and the check ends up being the same thing. I don't like it.
I thought you said that the debit, it would only be a charge if they used the app, but if they went in person, there was.
No, if they use the services,
It's a merchant
convenience
service.
fee. It's a convenience fee or it can be a merchant fee. Right now, we're gonna see if they go to a window, they can probably charge a merchant fee, which is way cheaper than the convenience fee. But right now, we're charging way more, and that's why we're trying to save money for constituents, because right now, it's over $8 fee.
When I pay my taxes online, I don't have a choice.
It's 12%.
Yeah, I get charged, but if I come in person, we're good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's what I'm trying to do. Right now, we're gonna start with this company. They already went to 2%, like I said. Hopefully, we come up with a merchant fee. But remember, I'm trying to help the citizens as well. Right now, we have a high flat fee for every citation that we pay. It's over $8, even though, regardless of the payment. With these new services, we're gonna extend our services 24 hours. You can pay it online, you can pay with your phone, you can pay, we're planning to pay it on kiosks, and also at window. So we're gonna save money to constituents, and we're gonna extend our services. And have live operators, which we don't have currently.
People don't get arrested this way.
I know for merchant services, I pay 2% plus 20 cents per transaction. So it might end up being about the same for the convenience, unless they give us a deal.
Well, right now with this deal, it's not gonna be the same. We did some analysis, purchasing, form a committee
We analyze all the vendors, the proposals, and like I said, right now the city is charging just a flat fee. I just inherited that issue from previous administrations. It's $8.50. Now we're trying to move to a lower convenience fee, which is at 2%, 2.3%, which is, if you see, is gonna be way cheaper than the $8 flat fee. And we're gonna get more services.
Unless you have a really big fine.
What was it?
Unless you have a really big fine.
Right. You have more questions?
So this is going to actually save people money?
Yes.
At the current rate, this should make it cheaper?
Yeah, it's gonna save the citizens a lot of money.
Motion to approve.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 33, consideration and action to authorize the purchase of a new 2016 CAT 826K compactor for the City of Brownsville MSW landfill.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Temp, City Commissioners. Tonight, we're requesting your approval for the purchase and delivery of a new 2016 826K Caterpillar compactor for the City of Brownsville Municipal Solid Waste Landfill to be awarded to Holt Caterpillar of Westlaco, Texas, in the amount of $715,099.93. This unit will serve as a replacement for the city's current 2005 unit that sustained extensive damage during an unforeseen fire event in April 2015, which was declared a total loss by their city's insurance, TML. This acquisition of the additional compactor for the landfill fleet inventory will reduce the amount of hours on the current two compactors, which will result in lowering the annual maintenance costs and will enhance the city's compliance status as per TCQ regulations to achieve the optimum density compaction of waste received. Our landfill considers this compaction as being one of the most important components of our landfill, as well as prolonging the life of our of the landfill. Funding for this purchase will derive from the insurance reimbursement claim in the amount of $479,650, and the remaining balance will be in the amount of $235,449.93 will be used from the plastic bag fee.
I'll move to approve.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 34, discussion and action to convey a non-exclusive easement to the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley, UTRGV, to accommodate the laying of fiber optic cable in support of Project Stargate.
We'd ask that you table this item pending there's some technical issues involving the utilities in the right of way.
Motion to table.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion
Aye.
passes.